Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I've got another little mini Hall of Armor update video for you guys, but this time it's not adding more suits into my existing build. As you can see, this build has started to be a little bit destroyed because we've got a couple of gaps in our War Machine row of suits. And it's because I think I finally figured out a solid design for a new chamber. So I talked about this a little bit in my last update video, which ended up being like a major bust because I didn't actually end up doing what I wanted to in that video. And I really do like parts of LEGO's new design for these Hall of Armor chambers that they introduced in 2022. I really like these parts, like these garage door parts that kind of like connect the chambers, because it makes the suits feel like they're actually in something, whereas the old design, they're much more open air, and I still like it because I want the minifigure to be shown off, but I really loved the way that this worked. The problem is this set is terribly expensive. It is not conducive at all to buying multiple because it's just so overpriced and a poor value for money. And then the other thing is that it's way too big. Like, look at how much gap there is above Whiplash's head. So I really hated that. So what I did was I started with this kind of base design and then tried a couple of things out to shorten it. But I still didn't really want to go with this design just because, again, like I said, it is very cost prohibitive. But then I was unhappy with the existing design, and this actually isn't the existing design. This is a modified version for my War Machine suits because the regular chambers usually have that piece there instead. And I even looked at this Spider-Man like Hall of Armor assembly from the Attack on the Spider Lair set in 2021. Because I also really like this one, but again, it does not work at all for Iron Man suits, and it's way too big. Look at how many like useless pieces are built into it if you're trying to build, like a big Hall of Armor with like 50 of these chambers. So as you can see from the wreckage, I did destroy a bunch of my existing Hall of Armor chambers, and I took 2 of the ones from the new 2022 set, and I've come up with a couple of options that I'm pretty excited to show you guys. So I'm going to move all of that stuff out of the way and then start bringing in some of my new designs. And then we can start looking at them individually, and I can walk you guys through which ones I've settled on. So we've got 6 different designs here, although a couple of them are pretty similar. And as you can see, I'm a big sketch builder. I try to only use pieces from this pile of parts over here, like from my existing Hall of Armor, because bear in mind, I've invested a lot of money into that thing in the background. I have bought like 4 or 5 Hall of Armor sets. I've put a lot of money and effort into it, and of course there's a lot of money in the suits. So whatever chamber design I go with, I'm looking to really reuse as many pieces as possible because I don't want to have to spend another like $200 on parts, even if like I come up with a really cool design. And that's why that's why I like building with actual bricks, because for me, like, actual bricks is an easier way to kind of like tinker and get the design you want. I've never been a big fan of online building, and I mean, I do want to do more of it because I don't have access to a huge parts collection when I'm away at school. But yeah, I really enjoy being able to actually be hands-on with the pieces and work off of only what I had in this Hall of Armor set. So first things first, this is a modified version of the Iron Man Armory Chamber from the 2022 set, and I'm going to bring in this little assembly so you can see it is almost exactly the same. Actually, I think the only thing I changed is that I put the minifigure up on a little plinth, because if you'll notice on the actual Hall of Armor chambers in universe, they do have like a pretty thick base, but they don't have this much head clearance, and so that's what I was really trying to eliminate. So I think that this is already a way better look than what they did in the actual set, because again, like, just having that much of a gap is so annoying. But there's not really anything like you could have done about it because that's just how long these garage door pieces are. So I still kept the garage door pieces, but as you can see, I just used a couple of pieces. These are from the other Hall of Armor set, like the 2019 one. But I used these pieces and just put a couple of studs on either side to raise it up by 1 brick height. But I didn't just put a 2x4 brick there because I wanted to have like some lights in the base. And like I said, these are all pretty rough sketch builds. So if I were to actually make a Hall of Armor with this design, I would change that to be a 1x2 plate, but I was just grabbing pieces out of my extra parts bin. But the height thing is still a major problem with this one. Sure, like you could find ways to lower the height, not in this design, because again, because of the garage door piece, but in other designs, like you could take out the clip and like replace them with plates and stuff like that. But I really like how modular the Hall of Armor is. It is so easy to just disconnect these pods from each other and rearrange them. And that is definitely important when you're dealing with so many Iron Man suits and Lego constantly making more. It has to be easy to rearrange. And so that's something that I was also really focused on. So my favorite part of this design is, again, these garage door pieces, because they give walls to the chamber. You know, like they let the minifigure be boxed in a little bit. And I appreciate that because it makes it feel like they're actually in a cabinet. But this does not work for War Machine minifigures, which is why I went over to this design, specifically for this War Machine figure from the 2020 Helicarrier, because it does have the most back attachments of any War Machine minifigure, so I knew that I would have to make it fit. And yeah, you could take all of this stuff off and just display the suit, but I think that's a little bit lame. Like, what sets War Machine apart besides his color scheme is the fact that he's so tricked out with weaponry, and so I want him to be able to be displayed with all of that weaponry. And these still connect, but I don't think they look good together because you're missing the garage door pieces on here. Like, pretty much the only thing I like about the 2022 set is that when you kind of put it into a circle like this, like these pieces just like connect so like beautifully in the corner, and you're not going to get that if the War Machine chambers can't fit those pieces. So I was really struggling because then if you put the Iron Man minifigure into like this spot, I thought that it looked too empty because, oops. Again, like I said, I really liked having more walls to it, but that's just a trade-off that didn't really work with this design because, again, there's just too much stuff on War Machine to let him be fenced in by any kind of walls. There were some other minor changes, like I kept the same kind of plinth design, but I used a 2x4 plate down here because I added those little silver grills from the 2019 design. And the other thing that I realized I really liked with this one in particular, and again, this is from the 2020 set, is I really liked having these kind of double door frames. Again, because it just gives a little bit more of that cabinet look. And I did top this off with one of those 2019 kind of modular connector pieces because I was using these ones for something else. So after doing that, I went hard on cabinet builds. And so I created fully enclosed cabinets for a couple of different minifigures. So I started with Iron Patriot because he's got a smaller like War Machine attachment. And I actually put glass over the front of the figure. And that is something that I quickly realized I do not like because it obviously kind of changes the color of it. And I feel like it doesn't show off the figure as nicely as having like no pane of glass. I also had to leave the sides open though to accommodate like the different back attachments, and then also the hands because I did try putting walls, but it just made everything very tight and awkward. But the thing I didn't like about this design, besides the glass, was how much like how many bricks there were in the base. That's what I'm trying to say. So this one was also kind of a non-starter for me. So then I took that design and I just modified it a little bit. So what I did here was I put the door frames at 2 different heights, which I thought worked out pretty well, with just 2 plates in front. And these pieces would not be white if I was actually using this design. I was just using, again, I was reusing parts from the 2019 chambers. And so I thought that this was okay, but it still didn't like speak to me. And then I tried a variation with this War Machine suit where, because when the minifigure is this enclosed, it's kind of hard to get it out. So what I actually did was I just put a tile on top of the door frame to make it really easy to just pull off and then put back on so that you could swap out the minifigure in there if you really needed to. And so I did like that system, but again, it just looked too empty to me. And then when you joined them up together, oh, I forgot, I also put these on different, I put like the clip connections on different like studs. But then when you joined them up together, they felt a little bit just like claustrophobic, like they didn't have room to breathe. And it felt like you couldn't see the minifigure well enough because of this open door frame. So finally, after all of that, I think I've settled on this one as my winning design. It is pretty much exactly the same as the War Machine one that we were looking at earlier, but to kind of counteract the negative space up here that I really didn't like, I just added a couple of 1x2 inverted slope bricks. And then to make it look like it wasn't unfinished and waiting for bricks to like come down as a column here, I just added some Translite Blue studs to act as lights to kind of illuminate the figure. And I really like this design. Again, I'm going to swap out these studs with 1x2 plates, but I really like overall where I ended up, and I am using the connection method from the 2022 set instead of this connection method because I think it looks better. Like, I don't love this look here with the black, dark bluish gray, and light bluish gray, but when you do it this way, it creates just like a nice little sandwich of light bluish gray and dark bluish gray. So I think this is the chamber design I'll be going with. I don't really have the walls that I wanted on the side, but you still have a little bit of the cabinet look with the door frames, and then you do have enough space for the War Machine minifigures, and honestly, I think that that is way more important. But at the same time, this is much more open than the design from 2019, which I think just had a lot of unnecessary gray. So I'm really excited for the minifigures to be able to be shown off a little bit better. And now we'll just do a quick tutorial to show you guys how I make my new chamber design. It's pretty simple. I'm sure you guys could just figure it out from looking at it, but I wanted to just do a little bit of on-camera assembly because I like it when people do that in their own videos. So I'm gonna leave that assembly down there, and you can put them, you can put the clips either all the way back or here. I prefer it here just because I think it kind of gives a better sense of gravity to the whole thing, because otherwise I feel like they'd be snapping off a little bit too easily. But then you're going to want to pry up these parts, take the 2x4 from your 2019 Hall of Armor, snap that in the middle, and then you're going to want to grab some extra studs. I mean, you don't even technically need studs back there. And like I said, the gray ones, you don't really need the gray ones. And like I said, I would be using a 1x2 plate, on the finished product. But just for this tutorial video, this is what I'll be doing. And then we need this thing. You can also orient where your minifigure stands. You can either have them stand right at the edge or slightly inwards. I prefer right at the edge just because, again, it shows them off a little bit better. And the other thing is that, again, the War Machine guys can't really stand one stud back. And now you're left with all of those extra bits. We're going to steal a door frame from the 2022 design. So unfortunately, I am massacring all of these. But yeah, so I do need to buy a couple different parts to fully have my new chamber design integrated, but I still think it's going to be worth it. Okay, and then now we throw a stud into the center there. And then again, these parts do not come in the actual Hall of Armor set. This was because my cabinet that I'm disassembling is a modified War Machine one. And where did my last stud go? It fell on the floor, as they always do. But there we go. There is my new design. I think I did it right. Yep. And now you can start putting those together. And the other thing is that, yeah, the gap on the side, it doesn't really annoy me that much. That's why I put this inverted piece here, because without that, I think it looks too plain. But once you add the inverted slope, I think it creates a nice look with the bottom. You've got something sloping here and you have something sloping there. And then again, by adding those lights, I think it just makes it look a little bit better. So yeah, so this is the design that I will be going forward with. So that pretty much does it for this little Hall of Armor update / mock video. I hope you guys like the new design that I've come up with, because I think that it works pretty well. And I mean, I do like the old one. I don't think there's really anything wrong with the old one. It's just that after seeing the new one, I want a little bit more blue, a little bit more glass in the design rather than having so much gray, concrete looking stuff. So I'm going to set about buying pieces for this. Unfortunately, I do not think this update, the full update, will be coming anytime soon. I really wanted to have it done, because the new Wakanda Forever sets are out, and we've got the Ironheart minifigures, which are, of course, going in this Hall of Armor. But I just don't have enough time before I have to go back to school for midterms and everything. So you guys will be getting that update video hopefully in December. And again, I'm sorry for the delay because I am really, really excited to make it. My Hall of Armor display is one of my favorite LEGO displays ever. But that's it for today, so don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I will see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.